You want to do a play-by-play?
Sure. Okay. All right, so welcome to the RC Invite 2019 men's final. Just started with the pull from Andrew Johnston. In white, we have the Bean Boys, and in dark, we have Toucan Slam.
That's right. Toucan Slam, certainly the underdog in this matchup, but it's hard to discount any team with Dave Archibald. Very wild player out there.
Absolutely. I think I saw some peak Toucan Slam earlier today. And when they're playing to their potential, they are a very strong team, so I wouldn't count them out by any means. We have Mercer with the disc. He's being guarded by Chris. Looking around, looking at his options. He finds Luke Pitts. Pitts wants to just hand it off to Sweep, but he says nah. Instead, he passes it to Brent. Brent passes it to Sweep, and that's the first point. We're on the board.
Off to a good start, a break here by Toucan Slam. Definitely the start they wanted. They're going to need to come out firing hard to take down this Bean Boys juggernaut.
Absolutely. I think the key with the Toucan Slam team is that any game I've seen them play, they sort of don't stay consistently high the whole game. They kind of have dips in energy and dips in intensity, and so they cannot do that this time. Big one fire by Steve Snow to Andrew Johnston, who easily chases it down, but unfortunately dinks off his hand right at the back of the end zone, so that is not going to be a point.
Johnston having to attack that disc high if he had any hope of keeping it in bounds, and unfortunately hard to make that grab that high in the air. A good look by Snow, but just a little bit too far for his receiver there.
A little bit too much juice for sure. So we have Luke Martelli tapping in the disc. He's guarded by Johnston.
Usually a hot player, but he got the Toucan right now, so feeling the breeze a little bit.
Toucan pants, in fact, so maybe it sounded like I just said Toucan Slam. So we have Archie in the middle. He finds Brock. Brock looks like he wants to hit Sharp, but decides not to. He finds Hinch instead.
Big dog Hinchy, great thrower out there. A hard mark for Steve Snow.
He's waving for Stapes to go where he wants. Quick shift for Hinch there.
You know, he's a smart player. He doesn't want to stay out there too long and get tired.
Back to the middle to Archie. He goes all the way around to Luke Pitts, who has to lay out, makes a huge bid. I don't know if that was down or not. I think that was a questionable call.
Looks like it's called down by Snow.
Yeah, I think that's the type of one we'll like to zoom in and see the replay.
Definitely. You know, Dave Archibald with that throw, a very dynamic player, certainly the player to look for on this Toucan Slam team. They're going to live or die by his play.
Absolutely. So it looks like that must have been contested. It went back to the thrower.
If Archibald has any bravery, he'll throw the exact same look once again.
Absolutely. Like Luke already has the steps.
Unfortunate.
Instead, he opts for the same cut, but by Evan Mercer. Mercer's being guarded by Alex Brown. Back over to Archie in the middle. Let's see what he can do. Very jumble looking down the field right now, but Mercer creates some space. He catches it just outside. He's knocking on the doorstep. Back to Archie, touching every second pass at this point. And he finds Brock. So for some reason
We're back.
All right, we're back. We had a couple little technical difficulties, just had to switch our battery, but didn't miss much. So it's 2-0 for the Toucan Slam team. Bean Boys with the disc. Felix passes to Brown. Tipped out by Stapes.
We're seeing a lot of small errors from this this team in white. They are not coming out hot, which has been a problem for them all weekend. You know, very talented players, but not able to put together a consistent game. They need to get back on serve here.
Absolutely. So we had Thorny passing it over to Dave. Violation.
Violation called here, I believe. Too many players on the field for Toucan Slam.
Oh, so there's a little bit of confusion here. Too many players called. Archie saying that he wasn't actually on the field.
And in this tournament, with continuous play, having too many players on the field makes it a turnover for Toucan Slam. Very unfortunate, giving up great yard position to the Bean Boys.
Yeah, they are right on the doorstep there. Disc is picking up by Chris Gordon, salty coach, guarded by Evan Mercer. Really nice D there by Sharp. And then he, unfortunately, you can always rely on Tyler getting open. And he does, right over in the corner. A nice put by Chris so he can put it out to space.
Ty Smith, former player for Team Canada, a very hard guard in that end zone, but a really nice throw by Chris Gordon.
Absolutely.
Sits that disc out there perfectly.
So we're going to have Thorny picking up the disc. He's being guarded by Creaser, oldest person on the field. Oh, that's a lie. T-Cam's out there too.
Certainly a lot of experience out there right now for both teams. Creaser and Thorny, a great matchup to watch.
Absolutely. So we have Dave Sharp. He swings it back to Thorny in the middle. Mercer cutting hard, doesn't get it. Thorny looking around, doesn't see all his options, ends up going for Sweep, who comes in for the under, guarded by Toucan. Puts it out to space so that Thorny can get a hand on it, but unfortunately cannot get his fingers wrapped around it. He's guarded by Creaser from behind and Andrew from the front, and although he actually did get to touch it, he did not get the point.
So yes, Thorny there getting Eiffel Towered by Andy and Creaser. A tough grab and a very tight window there for Sweep to look. I'm surprised he didn't go for the dump option.
Absolutely. So we have Chris picking up the disc, guarded by Mercer, a super active mark. Chris thinks about firing it to Brown, but sees that Luke Pitts has him covered. Goes back, loses a few yards, passes it to Andrew, but back to Chris right away. They're in a nicer position now. Finds Stephen Snow, guarded by Brock. Passes it up to Felix, gains a few yards again.
Felix very fast, very tough to cover. Gets a lot of those big unders.
Absolutely. Brown looking around. Sweep, a little confusion for a second on who he was guarding. Finds Brown. But Brown puts it out in a space, unfortunately, that Stephen Snow cannot get to.
Brown, typically a very solid, very exciting player for the Bean Boys, not having the greatest start. Clearly very frustrated with himself. He knows he's got that throw in his pocket.
Absolutely. If you're ever going to throw it to Steve Snow, if you're going to err on the side of low or high, definitely go high. Don't want to get it down to his shins because he's going to have to reach about 8 feet down to try to catch it.
I don't think I've ever seen him catch anything below 4 feet. So you're right, not the look you want.
So we have Archie picking up the disc. He's marked by Malcolm, who's wearing a polo for some reason.
I think he's going golfing later on today and didn't really feel like showering in between.
That's fair. Definitely want to go from the field to the course right away. So we have Martelli in the middle.
Martelli feeling the heat of the matchup, taking the Toucan off.
Archie fires it up, looking for Bronk.
Chris Gordon with great D. I believe there's a discussion here. Ooh, the crowd not liking that call. Chris Gordon, it appears he is contesting, thinks that he had position on that D.
What do you think in that situation? So I think that that's a really tough one, and when you're in the position that Bronk was in, he definitely felt a body on him, and he felt like he could have had a play on that disc, so I can totally understand why he would make that call. Even if, from our perspective, it seems like Chris had the position, they were both right under the disc. What do you think?
I think the questions you need to answer are, was there contact? Mm-hmm. Who initiated the contact? And did the contact affect the play? Brent's feeling that the contact affected the play and that he was not the one who initiated it. I think that's where the discussion would come from, who came into whose space.
Right. And I think in those scenarios, sometimes it's very easy to watch and have an opinion, but when you're actually playing and you're moving around, you're not necessarily aware of who initiated, and you just feel a body and you thought you were going to get it, and you can see where that call comes from.
Absolutely.
So Brock swings it back over to Archie. Archie finds Martelli right in the middle. Back to Archie. Back to Martelli. They're working really well off each other. Find Hinchy.
Two good players who have played a lot together. Not surprised to see that chemistry developing there.
Whoa, and an excellent save after a very sharp throw that was thrown in there by Hinchy. Instead, Archie catches it in a nice little layout.
Halifax players, not surprised to see David Archibald hitting the deck, known for his high-flying circus grabs, but nonetheless a very impressive grab by David.
So we have Chris Gordon picking up the disc. Huge fake. Brunk doesn't really bite, actually. Swings it all the way across the field over to Malcolm. Over to T-Camp, who's being guarded by Brock. Finds Gordon again.
We're seeing the Toucan Slam team recognizing they have an athletic disadvantage. They're looking to bracket, looking to help off the deeps and stop these easy deep shots.
Absolutely. We're seeing a really good display of team defense right now. A lot of communication. You can hear a lot of yelling on the field. Felix has the disc. He finds Tyler. One fast guy to another. Definitely, this Dark team is really trying to keep Felix and Tyler out of the end zone. You can tell that they're really giving them the unders. And we're about to see why, I think.
Tyler Smith making a great grab there. Brand in good position, but it's hard to get up over Tyler Smith. Very athletic, very smart player.
Absolutely. Those are the situations where you want Tyler. We call them 50-50s, but for Tyler, they're 95-5s.
I think that's giving Tyler not enough credit, honestly.
99 ones, maybe. I don't know if I've ever seen him not get one, actually. So Mercer looks to Martelli up the line.
Martelli making those pants look good, swings the disc.
Oh, we're all the way to the other side of the field to Sharp. Sharp finds McIsaac.
Tim McIsaac flying into town all the way from Kingston. He said he couldn't miss this tournament. Very excited about it.
We have Mercer. Huge height mismatch here.
Yeah, giving up several inches to Snow, but easily gets that inside flick and just toasts the matchup. Steven Snow cannot be happy getting roasted by someone, I think, 3.5 feet tall.
Steven Snow picking up the disc, marked by Mercer Still.
I believe he's still in disbelief at what just happened.
Swings it over to Tyler. Tyler's looking upfield. Pick called, a lot of congestion there.
Yeah.
Right now the score is 4-2. We're 13 minutes in. That's 4-2 for Toucan Slams.
Mark T-Camp cluttering up the offense there. By far the oldest player on this Bean Boys team, bringing their average age to close to 60, if I'm not mistaken. Just passed.
So we have Brown, pass it over to T-Camp. T-Camp's guarded by McIsaac. Back over to Brown. To Gordon, right in the middle. It's a great position for Gordon to be in. He can really put the disc wherever he wants. And for example, he puts it right to Mark T-Camp, but Archie with a nice poach D says, no thanks, you're not going to get it today.
David Archibald having a big impact on this game. No surprise there. Says, I'm not going to give it anything up to these Bean Boys.
Tim bringing the disc to the line, being guarded by Andrew Johnston, our tournament director. Passes it over to Bronk, who passes it all the way to the other side to Martelli.
Martelli with the pants, one sleeve, double gloves look, really just bringing the style to the game.
All the handlers seem to be indicating to the Dark players that they're going too deep. They're setting up that stack quite deep. They're not giving themselves a lot of space. Martelli yelled it. Thorny waved them in. Hopefully they start listening. Hinch finds Sharp right in the middle, and then he does a nice flick over, unfortunately, just outside, and just to make sure that it stayed outside the field, Tyler does a little tap.
Former Olympian Dave Sharp with a nice vision throw there. Unfortunately, Team Canada beats Olympian, and Tyler Smith gets that D.
He earned his ring.
Looks like a side stack here from the Bean Boys. Not surprised to see that they've got great athletes. They want to give those boys lots of space to work. Luke Martelli giving a wide berth to Chris Gordon.
Brady McPhee picks up the disc. I can honestly say I never know at all what he's going to do. He opts to pass it to Gordon, gains a lot of yards there. Thinking about passing it over to Brown. Sees he's well covered by sweep. Finds Snow instead. Snow actually catches one that's only 3 feet off the ground for the first time ever. He swings it over to Brady. Well, just back to Brady. Guarded by Thorny. Considering all of his options, likes to be nice and off balance when he makes his throw. Passes it to Gordon, who passes it to T-Camp for a nice little point. And that's going to bring the score to 4-3. 15 minutes in. Toucan Slam is ahead. Very low scoring game.
The defensive pressure from both teams is excellent. They're not making anything easy on their opponents. But a really nice throw from Gordon. I would not be surprised if we see that flick come out often in this game. Oh, he's looking a little bit tired on the mark here. Don't know if he's got legs for this long point.
Well, Chris Gordon does go to fitness with Bobby Pedersen once every 3 weeks, so I'm surprised to see that he would be tired.
And he forces that tight throw. Tim McIsaac throwing a little bit too low for Mark Staples. Maybe the nicest man you'll ever meet.
Snow picks it up. He passes it to Brown. Malcolm goes to cut, kind of just taking up space over there at this point. Brown finds Steve, cannot jump in just on the line. Looking for some options. Felix cutting around, but instead he goes for the other side of the field. He finds Andrew Johnston, and an excellent D by Archie.
It's unfortunate Steve couldn't get in the end zone there. When you have size 14 feet, it's really easy to land on the line and not be in the end zone. But a great D there by Dave to save the possession. Yeah,
that's two very heads-up plays by Dave in the past couple of minutes. McIsaac has the disc. He finds Sweep. Marked by Brady, very active mark, low active position there.
Sweeper somehow throws over Steven Snow. Here you thought not possible. Never seen it happen.
Seeing a lot of firsts today. So we have Martelli in the middle.
I can't believe he didn't take that swing. It seemed like a no-brainer.
Sometimes things are just a little too open for a handler to hit.
You're absolutely right, Kelsey.
Whoa, and for the first time ever, Hinchy gets a point.
Alex Big Dog Hinchy coming off a mini retirement, was surprising at, I think, 22 years old, but coming back, having not missed a single step, getting a nice point there.
He's on the mark. He's guarding Andrew Johnston. Over to Gordon. He thinks about shooting it to Brown. He had me convinced as well. Pass it back to Brady.
Take that look. Brown, several inches on the matchup and known as a very good deep receiver.
Brown opts for the safe look over to T-Camp. T-Camp just swinging the disc around. Finds Felix. Felix looking around. Hinch providing a big mark.
Felix has been incredibly reliable for this Bean Boys team, always getting under, dumping the disc. And then you've got options like this.
Interesting approach. Luke actually went behind Chris to try to get that disc, and he ended up providing just enough pressure that Chris could not get his hands around it.
Kelsey, I'm surprised there's no foul call. It seemed like there was a lot of contact.
It really did feel that way. But the action continues. Luke Pitts has it. He finds Sharp.
Surprised Luke Pitts managed to actually make that grab.
Thorny finds Archie right in the middle of the field. He thinks about throwing it to Luke Pitts, but maybe he's having flashbacks to when he dinked it after pointing at Mercer.
Oh.
He finds McIsaac. He's now knocking on the door.
McIsaac actually lactose intolerant, doesn't want any milk, and does not get that in the end zone, but David Archibald bails him out by getting wide open on the open side.
Yeah, the strides that David Archibald just had running into the end zone. Creaser could just not keep up.
The field has gotten oddly quiet. You can tell the Bean Boys are shocked by what is happening right now. They've never encountered this much, and a timeout.
Which just fires Toucan Slam up.
Yeah, Toucan Slam, very excited.
It's good. All right, we are back after a timeout that was called by the Bean Boys. Chris is standing at the disc. He's going to tap it in just a moment. Looks like he's going to be marked by Sharp. It is 6-3 right now. We are 20 minutes into the men's final of the RC Invite 2019. Everyone's excited to see what happens. I'm curious what the Bean Boys talked about in their timeout, because they really need to make a few adjustments if they're going to start mounting this comeback and get back into this game. I know it's only a 3-point differential, but it's feeling like a big difference right now in a very low-scoring game.
A great play by Bean Boys there, recognizing the poaching and just getting an open look here for Andrew Johnston.
And that's exactly what you want to see out of a timeout. You want to see a well-organized play happen, because that's why you took it. And so you want to make sure that you're really capitalizing on using your timeout, which is exactly what they did.
More correct on that, Kelsey.
So Thorny finds Stapes in the middle. Bronk wide open. He finds Sweep. Mercer's taking a sub. Very confusing for a second. Caused a pick, I think.
Hard to call a pick when your man's out of bounds already subbed, but TK manages to find a way.
A lot of conversation. I think Archie recognizes the flaw in this situation.
Archibald, a very fiery player. Won't be surprised to see him insert himself into the play after that.
I didn't know that Archie ever had opinions on Frisbee.
It's hard to tell, honestly. He usually keeps them to himself, but now he's voicing them.
First time for everything. Just feeling very confident in this RC Invite. So Sweep pivoting around, guarded by T-Camp.
Having no clean looks.
He puts it forward to Luke Martelli. Tyler almost gets it. Bronk right on the line. He finds Archie in the middle. That's a good play. And then Stapes over on the other side. Kind of an awkward little catch, but a point nonetheless.
Archibald, when he catches that disc, it almost is like he's trying to break it. He claps that disc very forcefully, making sure that he's not going to drop it like one Mr. Luke Pitts.
Never forget. So Gordon has the disc partway up the field. He's guarded by Stapes.
Stapes really drifting back on that mark, taking away that under, but we get a deep look here, and Snow reels it in. No surprise there.
Oh, but there's a call on the throw. Oh, a contested down. I did think that Chris had the disc in his hands for a while, but it's hard to say. I've never actually seen a down call that doesn't go to a contest. So
Mark Stapes has never made a bad call in his life, so it's really surprising to see Chris Gordon contest that. But you can tell in the timbre of his voice, he is not happy with what he's surveying.
So it means that he's going to take the disc in on stall 8, correct?
That is absolutely correct, Kelsey. I see you've read the rule book. And
whoa!
Thorny with a great D there.
I actually didn't even realize that disc was in Thorny's hands until he'd done his little spin move and stopped. But Malcolm's polo was just there. He couldn't grab it. And it ends up that Stapes ends up getting the point.
Stapes getting the point and refusing to even look at Chris Gordon. Almost a reverse spike.
He actually walks away, and when he should be putting a mark on. This is Stapes' version of being mean. It's actually just being indifferent.
I think he's just trying to be nice and allow Chris to get a clean look. Maybe feeling bad for him.
Nice run there by Steve Snow. He's right on the line. He puts one up to Alex Brown. Nice easy point for the Bean Boys.
Alex Brown finally gets on the board. No surprise there. A great receiver.
Score currently is 8-5. We're 23 minutes into the men's final. McIsaac on the line, guarded by Brown. He's immediately just going to go back to Archie. Guarded by T-Camp.
I love Archibald.
And he goes for it. Hopefully Luke can see that he's gone for it. Oh, unfortunately Luke could not find the disc.
I wonder if Dave Archibald knows that he's actually not playing for Bean Boys because he just threw to two of them. Not a wise decision.
All right, Tyler has the disc. He throws a nice buttery little flick up to Brown. And it looks like we might be mounting the comeback here. It's 8-6.
Yeah, Bean Boys are feeling it right now. I would not be surprised to see McKaiser call a timeout. He's certainly taking his time bringing the disc back to the line.
Surveying his options. I'm not sure if he sees what he wants. He opts to go up to Archie. They work well together. They really play off each other.
They certainly played a few games before. Lots of chemistry there.
Archie looking around. He doesn't know what he wants to see. He ends up finding Mercer with a nice under.
I think he's a little frustrated with this lack of spacing on the dump cuts there.
Absolutely. Things are very tight right now.
That's a good point. You see a lot of their cutters on the open side of the field, but Evan Mercer, mostly Mercer, squeaks free there for a point in the end zone.
Yeah, that was a really nice look by Martelli. I actually didn't even see Mercer running in there. I thought that was a disc for Hinch, and I was a little bit worried about it, but it ended up going to Mercer. It was a great point, and they have taken half.
That's absolutely right, it's half. And I think we'll take a quick break here. And we're back with the second half of the men's finals here. Bean Boys and Toucan Slam. What's the score, Kelsey?
So I think the score is 9-6.
9-6. So Bean Boys still down. They pulled a little comeback here, but you have to wonder if they're afraid of losing this game after coming in as the top seed and having no contested games so far.
We have Bronk with the pull. Malcolm's going to receive it. He passes to Gordo in the middle. Looks like we're going to do a side stack this time. Different look for Bean Boys that I haven't seen yet. Pass it to Felix, but Mercer says, nah, you're not going to get it. It was a tight pass already, and Mercer's known for really getting those Ds, just getting his hand in there just in time, and that's exactly what he did. Chris
Gordon signaling that he knows he messed up as if no one else saw that. We all knew what happened.
There was no doubt who was going to get the blame on that one.
Yeah, but Mercer with a fantastic D. Toucan Slam looking to put another point on the board here.
Felix looking to try to make the same move Mercer just did. Unfortunately, he can't get there. Mercer gets his hands on it. He passes it to Archie. Archie's looking around, trying to indicate to his players what he wants. Ends up swinging it over to Brock. Brock's going to pass it back up to Archie. No, he's not. He looks him off. He finds Mercer instead, goes for more in the middle of the field. Good hands by Mercer there.
Mercer really wanted that inside backhand. Finally gets it after a bobble.
Marcy takes 6 seconds to catch the disc, but he caught it nonetheless. Oh, Marcy had separation there for just a moment, but it was a bit too tight for that pass, but then it works, and Martelli passes it to the other Luke, and for the first time, Luke catches it in that corner.
Martelli with a nice lefty. He spent several months up in the mountains training with that throw, finally has it down pat. Nice to see him pull it out there.
Nice Luke-to-Luke connection. Brady looking around, he puts a very high pass to Andrew Johnston, unfortunately just a little too high. Martelli with the fast hands there as Brady tries to dive to save the disc. He's looking around, looks a little panicked. Sees absolutely no options. He swings it over to Hinch, who's now on the doorstep.
Big Dog Hinchy surveying the field, faking some throws, throws the easy inside backhand. And that's 2 inside backhands off of that side stack. We've seen Bean Boys not execute properly, very casual in the throws. They cannot be happy with the results of those throws.
We have Steve Snow picking up the disc. He's marked by Tim McIsaac. Another side stack look from the Bean Boys. Goes back to Johnston. Back to Snow. He's going to find Brown. Brown's marked by Hinchy. Brown swings it all the way across the field. Thorny wants to bite on that, but no, Tyler's going to get that one. Tyler swings it to Andrew Johnston. Lots of quick disc movement right now. Brown almost off balance there. Back to Andrew Johnston. Lots of patience being shown by the white team. I think earlier in the game they were really just firing it even if the look wasn't there, and now they're trying to make better decisions. Pass it up to Malcolm, who's now right in the middle of the field, marked by Brock. He passes it over to Creaser, a bit of a tight one there. Creaser finds Malcolm again. And a very low one, he tries to pass it to Fee. Fee bids for it, but unfortunately it was not a great pass, and he did not get his fingers around it.
And you hear the loud screams from the Toucan Slam sideline. Very happy with that defensive stand. They come away with a nice D after forcing a tight around flick from, I believe that was Elliott.
we have Archie. He's going to pick up the disc. He's marked by Malcolm.
We see Luke Pitts here in the middle, guarded by Mark Tekamp. I wonder if Archie is going to test that matchup. Certainly an exciting prospect.
Archie actually not looking that direction at all. He finds Bronk. Bronk up to Luke Pitts. Luke's going to want to dish that and then go himself. And that's exactly what he does. Oh, Mercer finds Archie. Sweep with a nice little cut there to get open on Brown.
Nice fake by Sweep. Opens up that break side lane. Nice throw by Sweep. He didn't have that last year when he started playing Ultimate competitively, but worked on his game very finely and has those throws down pat now.
Yeah, that looked nice. It looked like a very comfortable choice for him.
Speaking of nice throws.
Brenton McPhee passes up to Andrew Johnston. Big fake. Over to Tyler. Once again, they're really trying to force Tyler under because they know what a threat he is in the end zone. Tyler catches it. He's less than 10 yards outside the end zone.
A round flick here.
Swings it back to the middle to Creaser, and then puts it right through the middle to Steve.
Archibald not happy with that. Was not in a good position. Looks like he's talking to Snow about some sort of contact. They're still good buddies, though.
A lot of back taps, actually. Just really, the camaraderie here is off the charts. Maybe Archie's trying to get in on the Bean Boys situation and get a nice coffee after the game.
Looks like we see somewhat of a horizontal stack, 3 cutters across.
I don't know if we could call this a stack.
This is an interesting setup. Brock taking Steven Snow seat, not the look I don't think you want.
No, I don't think that's a matchup I'm going to put my money on. Brock finds the disc in the middle. He passes it nicely to Tim Kizek. Thinks about shooting it, decides to hold off. Over to Thorny. Thorny sees Sharp but decides not to go for it. Once again, Brock in the middle. A tight throw to Tim McIsaac, who's guarded by Felix. Should probably get a vert stack going here because right now they're just filling up the end zone as big as possible.
Nice power dump there to Alex Hinchy. Toucan Slam taking advantage. They're using their fakes to make those poaching downfield defenders bite and then getting easy looks underneath.
Bold call for Luke Pitts to try to catch that one with one hand, considering how things have been going today. But he does get it. Thorny gets it now. He's right on the doorstep. He's looking at Pitts. He opts to go for the safer choice, and he's going to pass it back to Mouse.
Toucan Slam up a couple points. Could technically not even try to score, but they do, and they can. Unbelievable.
And for the third time today, we see Luke Pitts drop one in that corner. It's just not his friend today, folks. It's actually only the 4th time I've seen Luke Pitts drop a disc. Unfortunately, 3 of them were in the past 2 hours.
That's a great point, Kelsey. Usually known as being very reliable. Fortunately, once again, that inside backhand, very casual, and Toucan Slam able to get the disc back. Luke still not going to be happy with his earlier miss.
No, when you're going to put a disc up in the air like that, you got to expect that Toucan Slam is going to snack on it. And 2 people were there, and then a beauty put, a very awkward-looking catch by Mercer, but he ends up reeling it in.
Chris Gordon with a fantastic layout, just past his fingertips. He's not wearing his customary gloves. You have to wonder if that would have gotten him the D there. Oh, and Andy Cranberry pulls up from the layout. A nice strike there. Chris Gordon with a throw. Bladed a little bit near the end.
So we have Bronk, who just tapped in the disc. He's marked by Andy. Thorny finds the disc in the middle. He finds Marcy. Marcy gains a lot of yards there, puts it up to Stapes. Stapes looking upfield with a funny little look that Malcolm bites right off. Malcolm gets that one over Thorny, got to feel good.
Stapes looks to the heavens as if God himself swatted that disc away. Unfortunately, it was Malcolm Elliott with the great D. Definitely not the way Stapes wanted that throw to come out at all.
No, I don't think that's what he envisioned. So Brady throws it over to Creaser. It's marked by Tim McIsaac, longtime teammates there. Tyler throws it up. Makes it a little bit tricky for Brown to tote in, but he definitely does.
Alex Brown, great body control. Usually you see that when he's laying out sideways and upside down, but there he toes the line.
Tyler now just a few yards outside his end zone, marked by Archie. Really threads the needle there to get it into Snow, who's guarded by Sweep. Right now we have a score of 13-8. We're 35 minutes in, which means we still have 20 minutes of play, and it's absolutely still anyone's game.
Of course, and we've seen this Bean Boys team there, the heavy favorites in almost every matchup, including this one, which means they may not have been tested as much, and now facing some opponents who really are putting it to them, they're not sure how to deal with that. Tim McIsaac going deep to Luke Pitts with a fantastic grab in the end zone, redeeming himself.
And finally, we see the Luke Pitts that we know and love. He runs that one down, sprints super fast. Brown's right on his tail, but he gets his fingers around it, and then a nice little subtle spike, I would say, just to remind everyone that he's here to play.
Pitt's acting as if he doesn't care. Very nonchalant, but we all know his heart is beating 1,000,000 miles per hour.
Gordon passes to Johnston, who finds Brown. He's guarded by Pitts. Finds Malcolm. Always easy to identify because he has collar for some reason.
I believe Elliott came straight from the party to the field today, so that may explain the call.
And a sliding catch by Andrew Johnston.
Johnston not afraid of hitting the dirt. You see his jersey a little dirty there. Signals of his old layouts. Sweep, not sure if he was going to pick it up, but his teammate said, no, it's okay, we'll let it slide.
Just this one-time sweep. He passes it back to Martelli. He's looking up the field. Back to sweep.
Opening up a lot with a very nice fake there.
It looks like he doesn't have a lot of options there. He ends up passing it back to Dave Sharp. Always in a risky territory when you got to make a weird pass inside your own end zone.
And as you say it, so it becomes reality. They turn it over in front of their end zone. Toucan Slam very congested, not getting any clean looks, and Bean Boys able to get a turn in prime position for a point. And amazingly, Stephen Creaser is open for almost an hour and doesn't get the disc. They instead choose to dump and lose 86 yards. But now working the disc almost as if it's a game to them. Freddie McPhee with a push pass to Steven Snow. We've seen that before, folks. A connection that's very hard to stop.
And an interesting thing to note, John Snow has now strolled onto the sideline. Bean Boys have really been missing him all day. Looks like he's about to offer some words of wisdom to his teammates who he is not helping.
That's all right. He had to go to, I believe, Truro earlier this morning. Didn't realize it was actually not a very long drive and has made it back in time.
Oh, and a nice attempt by Fee. He almost gets around it, but Archie just a longer arm span. He gets his fingers there.
Alex and you dancing in the lane there, not the cuts you want to see from your downfield receivers.
We swung it to the other side, and now we find a nice open Mouse who gets open on Steven Snow again.
Mercer giving up significant inchage.
Now he's showing his full 4-foot arm span. Unfortunately, that's just not enough to really stop an around from Steve. Brown finally firing a big one up to Johnston, who's gets it over Thorny. Really climbs that ladder to get it over Michael Thorny.
Thorny was skying players when Johnson was in his diapers, but eats one there, and Thorny's putting it deep to Mercer.
It's a nice heist. Whoa, and that's a nice height matchup is what I was going to say. It's very even, and Brady just did a very cool move. He went behind Mercer and just tapped it just enough so it wasn't in his reach. Chris Gordon catches it, and he launches it over to the far corner to Andrew Johnston. And he's in as well.
Johnston really coming out here in this game, putting his mark on it, and Bean Boys are starting to feel the vibe. They're getting into the offense that we've seen more of them this weekend.
Really showing Johnston's athletics here, really just pushing him to his limits, catching on either end of the field, but he's doing an excellent job of chasing discs that maybe aren't going exactly where they're intended, but he's managing to keep them in and get the point. Tim McIsaac passes.
Double move.
Ooh, and that's a scary pass when you got the long arms of Steven Snow chasing you. He finds Sharp. Sharp's looking around. He has no mark right now. Bronk marked by Felix. Bronk with a nice easy pass into sweep. He's now less than 10 yards outside his end zone. A lot of yelling happening right now. It seems to be a lot of confusion.
I believe it was about what the force was. Bean Boys not great at holding the same force, but they get the turn there. And we'll take a quick break here.
All right, we are back. We just wanted to make sure that we had enough camera life there. Steve passes it over to Chris Gordon, who's in the middle. He's looking around. He finds a wide open Andrew Johnston. Back to Snow. Chris deking around. Didn't really need to deke because no one was guarding him. Up to T-Camp. We're now at the halfway mark up the field, and not the throw you're looking for. I don't really know what to call that, but he was throwing it at the turf and not throwing it to his player, unfortunately.
That flick not coming out the way you wanted to.
All right, so Mercer with the disc on the sideline. Took a little while for that disc to be fetched from the other field. Passes it over to Stapes. Stapes looking around right in the back of his own end zone. He finds Thorny. Very low pass. Luckily, Thorny reels that one in. He's marked by Tyler.
Stapes cutting deep, unfortunately blocked off there by Breton.
Nice swing pass over to Bronk. Bronk swings it up to Stapes. And then Stapes fires one to the ground, just like T-Camp did a few moments earlier.
Stapes had been turned, I think that's why it was turned.
All right, so we have Chris, who just launches over to the other side of the field, Andrew Johnston. He's marked by Sweep, but a very loose mark. Back to Tyler in the middle. Tyler's looking for Brown, who's marked by Brock. It's all tongue twisters. It's really hard for me to say everything.
Mark, Brown holstering that around Flick.
Looks for Brady. Brady with a nice little pass up to Tyler. Completely. Thorny with the disc. He swings it over to Archie. A lot of congestion here by Dark right now. No one's really distinctly cutting under or deep. Martelli finally comes up with a good option, and now it's going to get swung back to Archie.
Archibald not happy with the way his cutters are moving, getting very vocal out there, looking to direct traffic.
Tim Kaisik looks at a couple options there, but feels that it's just too many defenders downfield. Archie's right in the middle. He's going to pass it back to Tim Kaisik. I'd like to see a stack here by Dark. But instead...
Okay. Unfortunately, Sharp not able to make that grab, and Brown looking deep here.
All right, so we have Luke picking up the disc. That was a huge throw by Brown, but unfortunately it was actually over Steven Snow, which meant it had to be at least 20 feet into the air.
Yeah, somehow Steve not able to jump that high, which is surprising for someone with that incredible springiness.
And those size feet to push you up into the air.
I don't think that's how science works there, Kelsey.
I'm not sure if science is any place in Ultimate.
That's a good point. Luke Martelli swinging the disc to David Archibald. Look to see him make some big throws here.
Finally, someone calling for a vert. The last couple of times we've been down in this end zone, it's been really messy, and it's really... Ooh, a nice toes by Mercer.
Luke Martelli with a nice throw. He wasn't happy with the way it came out, but Mercer able to make a nice grab.
Brady's going to launch that right to the back corner. Maybe Tyler can make a play on it. I don't know why I said maybe.
It is actually...
So we have Archie with the disc.
We believe Toucan Slam up by 2 points over Bean Boys at the moment.
We still have 10 minutes of play left, so it's absolutely anybody's game. Hinch has no mark right now, so he could just hold the disc for the rest of the game. Finally marked by Tyler.
We saw last point Tyler Smith get a nice rundown point. Technically impossible to overthrow him.
Yeah, for some reason I actually thought it might have been an overthrow for a moment, but then I just remembered who Tyler is, and that's just doesn't happen.
And Luke Martelli, a questionable backhand.
Ooh, and Luke hits almost... Brown with the disc in the corner. Steven Snow cutting in, nice hard under. You're looking to pass it back up to Brown. He's going to launch it.
Yeah, not surprised to see that look.
Ooh, and that's actually very surprising. He ends up hanging from Martelli with the disc, marked by Gordo. He passes it up to Mercer. Mercer's looking around. He's pointing to Marcy. Marcy doesn't go where he wants him to go, so passes over to Thorny instead.
Mercer with a wide stance when he holds the disc. I mean, it's only 2 feet, but his legs are splayed. Well, let's see if we see it here.
Ooh, a lot of traffic there, but Luke ends up getting that one. He opts to pass it over to Archie. Very open Bronk for a moment, but Steve Snow is definitely just baiting that one. Thorny with it on, not a lot of pressure on the mark from Creaser. Big pick call.
Yeah, no surprise there. A lot of traffic. Players running into each other. Thorny, a very veteran player. Let's look to see him get a dump here, and he does.
Archie running around. He ends up finding Stapes, now only a couple of yards outside the end zone. Let's see if anyone can make that cut. And he puts it out to space so Archie can run on.
Archibald with his patented, I'm pretending to change direction, but really I'm going open side, 360 spin move.
Chris Gordon finds Breton. Breton guarded by Hinch. Redbeard versus Redbeard. And Tyler hits the ground for the first time in his Ultimate career.
That's why he made Team Canada.
Creaser with a nice lofty throw. With the weirdest catch ever.
So goes up big. Brent goes, well, I'm never getting close to this. No one touches it, and Steven makes a nice grab. Can you see the score?
So we have Tim McIsaac. He passes it over to Luke Martelli. Back to Tim. Up to Luke Pitts in the middle. He's going to dish it off to Tim McIsaac.
We believe Toucan Slam still with that 2-point advantage here. A very close game, certainly.
Sweep's being guarded by Felix. Doesn't see a lot of options, so he swings it back to Luke, who passes up to Tim McIsaac. Once again, they're playing really well off each other as well.
Lots of history with those two players.
Brock has no mark, so he should just hold it for the last 6 minutes of the game.
Let's leave the strategy to the players on the field, Kelsey.
Tim looking around, he finds Mercy. Going to find Luke Martelli, and he's now about 10 yards out of the end zone, and he finds a wide open Stapes.
Stapes just uncontested point there.
And Chris taps that in quickly just as he gets to the disc, passes it all the way over to Johnston, gets a lot of yards on that first pass.
Really using the isolation that side stack provides. Their big athletes get lots of yards on those.
Absolutely. We have Gordon with the disc again. He's thinking about some options.
Stapes keeping his left hand up specifically for that around flick and does affect the path, but an amazing grab by Brown.
Now anyways.
They should have called, I don't know if they can call timeout now. 5 minutes left, right?
Yeah, so we are now in the under 5 minute zone. I'm surprised that Dark did not call a timeout during the past couple of minutes just to use up some of the clock, but they didn't do that. Now Bronk has the disc. He's partway up the field. He finds Archie. Archie's looking around. There's absolutely no continuation cut there for him, so he's probably going to have to swing it back to Thorny.
Luckily, their handlers are very adept at getting movement out of nothing, because that's what they've had to work with a lot of this game.
Absolutely. Dark really needs to be make a lot of safe, conservative decisions right now. There's no need for them to force it. They have the lead, and they have time on their side. Thorny looking around. He finds an open Sharp.
Elliott calling a stall. Not surprised. It was a long time that Thorny had that disc. Seems to be some discussion about it, though. Close game, you almost always contest those.
Like I said, I don't think I've ever seen a stall down call that was not contested.
I don't even know if Thorny knows the word contest or uncontested.
Thorny with, oh gosh.
Yeah, just an unfortunate play there. I hope everyone's okay.
All right, so we're back after a really hard-looking fall there by 3 guys, just bodies hitting in the air. Tyler swings it over to Creaser. Creaser pivoting around. He finds Brown. Thorny really trying to take a bite out of that one, but he doesn't get it.
Not hungry enough. Too big of a breakfast, I think, for Thorny. Brown with a push pass.
Oh, and
I believe there's a down call. That is surprising because it's certainly less time than Malcolm Elliott's down call earlier.
It's coming in at 8. Same pass over to Creaser. Same level of risk both times. Creaser swings it into the middle to Tyler.
Tyler just perennially open here. Very tough mark for these Toucan Slam defenders.
You can understand why they're forcing him under, but the thing is he will still take those unders and he'll still be very open on those too. Tyler right on the edge. All right, we're back in. So we just got a score update finally. It's 18-17 for Toucan Slams. We're in the under 3 minute mark now. Stapes looking around, looking very panicked. Toucan Slams need to be very conservative with the disc now.
Luke Pitt's running the show, going every other. A couple nice backhand fakes, not getting much he needs, and there's the dump for him.
Swings around to Stapes. Stapes looks at sweep but doesn't decide to go for it. Finds Marcy.
You know, there's no rush here, Kelsey, for this Toucan Slam team. They should be patient.
Absolutely not.
Oh
no.
Incredibly unfortunate drop by Alan Sweeper. He kicks that disc out of frustration. He hates all Frisbees that he's ever seen.
Gordo with the disc on the line. Chance to tie it up with under 2 minutes to play. Going to Brown. They're going to have to be the same kind of discipline and conservative. They don't need to rush it. They just need to make the right choice to get the point.
Yeah, 2 minutes left. Lots of time still. It's 120 seconds if my math doesn't fail me.
Huge bid by Evan Mercer. Unfortunately, he does not get his hand around. He gets the mark up quick. Gordo now with the disc again. Marks by Sweep. Sweep probably looking to redeem what just happened. Brown catches it. Marks by Brock. Looks at Felix, but he's well covered by Luke Pitts. And a huge play by Alan Sweeper. Oh. Cooper's... Okay.
So Alex Brown threw a disc. It was turned over, but there was a call that brought it back, and now he just throws a lofty pass to Tyler Smith in the end zone for the point. The game is now tied, ladies and gentlemen.
We're probably in the under 30-second mark now. It's really hard to tell with this clock, but it looks like we're going to go to Universe, boys and girls.
Lots of sideline talk here. Our camerawoman, hand over her mouth. This is exciting and suspenseful.
Hinchy picks up the disc. Pass it to Dave Sharp. Big bid by Brown, who really wants this. Sharp looking around, sees not the option he's looking for, but he finds Archie, which is exactly who you want the disc in his hands. He finds Thorny. A lot of sketchy passes happening right now. I think everyone's feeling the nerves. We're now in a Universe territory. Find Luke Martelli. He's now about 10 yards out. He thinks about doing something crazy. He decides not to. Thorny's guarded by Gordo. Very intense right now. I got cold shivers.
Yeah, the players, you can tell, are feeling very tense.
Disc back in Archie's hand. As we said, that's where we want it to be. Tyler really trying to stop any of this end zone play. Doing a good job, taking up a lot of space. And not the throw you want to see from if you're Archie.
I believe that was a stall line throw. He did not look happy with what was in front of him from the cutters. And now, Bean Boys with the disc on Universe have been incredibly hard to stop offensively. Let's see if Toucan Slam can get another turn.
Gordo thinks about shooting it. The whole crowd wanted it, but the ops no. They're really trying to be safe. Brown with the disc. He's marked by Sharp. Oh! And a huge play! We have Archie with the disc. He wraps it around to Bronk. Bronk swings it over to Luke Pitts. A little bit out of his reach, but he gets there. Luke pops it right up to Bronk again. Knocking on the doorstep here. Mercer had the man beat for just a second. Over to Archie. Very contested. And swings it. Oh my God!
Brock Patterson with an incredibly unfortunate drop in the end zone. Would have ended the game. Steven Snow brings into Alex Brown.
Somehow Brock is still smiling. That's the attitude that I have to admire. Gordon has the disc.
Consequences.
A lot of comments from the crowd now. Everyone's very invested in the outcome of this game. Brady's pivoting around. Luke Pitts with a big mark. Creaser now knocking on the doorstep.
And the game is over.
Steven Snow